adventures, and fucking hell. Oh, it's been a stressful week and a really long week and a really long day. I had planned to record this video at the beginning of the week. It's Thursday night, 8:40 Thursday night, and this video is supposed to come out tomorrow or today if you're watching it today, or a couple of days ago, or a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of months ago. October 28th is supposed to come out. Now, why am I rambling? Well, it's simple, because I still haven't finished reading this fucking piece of shit. It's a really bad book. I don't like it. It's self-aware, and I usually don't like books that are self-aware. And that book is gonna be featured in the next Inside Dark Dungeons, and that's supposed to come out on Monday, and that's October 31st. And it's Thursday, and I still haven't finished reading the book, so I haven't finished the script, and of course I haven't recorded anything yet. So I'm a little bit under stress, but I do want to be able to do this for next Monday, and I'm pretty sure I'll be able to do it, even though that tomorrow I have game. I'm running my Iron Kingdoms game, then I have to record the recap of that game, and then of course I have to write the script, and on Saturday I have Rise of the Rune Lords. I honestly don't know how I'm gonna be able to release the Inside Dark Dungeons for the Buffy role-playing game for Monday, but I really want to do it because I really want to do the whole, video on Halloween. So anyways, on this Geas quest, let's talk about horror. Now, if I found anything throughout my life that the two most difficult media for movies and books and stuff like that, to me, it's comedy. Comedy is really hard to write. Comedy is really hard to do. Like, you really have to be gifted to do comedy, because action is easy. Gunfights, explosions. I mean, just look at Michael Bay. Whatever you want to say about his directing skills, which they suck, they really do. Or Zack Snyder, because I lost all respect for Mr. Snyder after Batman vs Superman. But they know how to make good action. They know how to direct good action. Horror, I think, is very, very difficult, because jump scares are not, to me, that's not horror. That's, you get startled. That's it. It's just a surprise. It's a loud noise in your face, inside your ears, that makes you scream. That to me is not scary. That's why I love Friday Night at Freddy's, because it's, the idea is scary, but I don't like the games because I don't like jump scares. I think they're stupid. That's why I don't like the Paranormal Activities movies either. The other one is comedy. I think comedy is very, very difficult to write. Comedy and horror, to me, they're very difficult things to write and to be able to create. And when you're running a tabletop role-playing game, making an action game, a high-octane action game, is easy. Just put a bunch of guys, car chases, people killing each other, explosions, whatever. I honestly think that suspense is simple enough. Oh, wait a minute, I forgot to timekeeper, clock, stopwatch, start. I already started the video, so screw it, we're making it live. Anyways, suspense is also easy because you just put mystery, and mystery can be so good. I love running mystery games. If my players that know me, they know that I like having twists and turns, plot twists throughout all my games. But horror itself, that's very difficult. Comedy, eventually we'll get into comedy, maybe sometime next year, maybe for April Fools. I'll make a video on comedy. If you're into running comedy games, I've never really seen that many people that are into playing or running comedy games. But however, horror, people love running horror games and people love playing horror games. But what really makes a horror game? Now, you can read up. Obviously, there are books. There's, for example, Heroes of Horror. It's a 3.5 D&D book. It's really good. I have it. I still haven't finished reading it myself because I originally had planned to review that game, that book for Inside Dark Dungeons for this October, but then I decided, you know what? This book has been in the local comic book store for way too long now. Like, I'm talking about 6 years, way too long, and it was probably there even before that. So I decided to buy it and review it myself. So Heroes of Horror probably is gonna come out next year. Then there's also horror adventures that just recently came out for Pathfinder, and they do have a lot of rules and they do have a lot of explanations on how to run a horror game. So you can check out those as well. But reading and doing are so different. You know, they're very different things to do. So I'm gonna try to bring you examples of the times that I've tried to run horror myself. First things first, mood. You gotta set the mood. You gotta get descriptive. The more descriptive you get, the better. Because you gotta make players feel that they're there. You gotta explain everything with detail. You know, you have to be very explicit with the fungi that is covering the floors. You have to be very explicit that maybe they're investigating a haunted house, and as you're walking in, suddenly you realize, even though this house is abandoned, you have not noticed any rodents or any spider webs. And then suddenly it hits them. Wait, this place has been abandoned for God knows how long, and there are no rodents, no vermin, no spiders. Now that's weird and freaky. You know, then you start piling up on the tension. Also, the way you inflict on your words and the way you speak about, you know, the things that are going around them. That's very important to do as a game master. The way you describe things, the way the lights are flickering, the candles are moving, even though you don't feel a breeze near you. And the way they're moving, they're making your shadows swerve and move in unison, like a macabre dance is happening, and you have no idea why. You know, those things are so important when you're trying to set up the mood for horror. You know, when you're trying to describe a monster is so important, because if you're trying to run horror, don't just have the monster standing there. That's stupid. You just have the monster eating something. The ghoul in front of you is gnawing at some bones. By the looks of them, they're small bones, whether it's a child's bone or a small animal's bone, you are not entirely sure. Then the players again start getting freaked out. It's like, whoa, what is happening? You know, when you're trying to run horror, there's so many things that you can take from, you know, usually a lot of people like to run Cthulhu Mythos type games for horror, and those are amazing. Anything you can anything you can read up on the Cthulhu Mythos, on Lovecraftian horror, do so, because that's usually gonna make your players stand on end. You know, that's gonna keep them very intrigued in what's happening in the game and what's going on. For example, I ran a game a couple of years ago. It's one of my, sadly it was one of my failed games, but in there I actually had a horror session. I told the players, I want to try something different this time. We're not really gonna see combat here, and this is before, I mean, haunts were already a thing in Pathfinder, but they weren't so out there like they are now with Heroes of Horror and horror adventures and stuff like that. But they were already there because they were in the Game Master's book. But I had not read that book up until that point. I did design a couple of haunts for Wayward Rogues Publishing, and they're gonna come out in an adventure pack that's coming out. That's gonna be coming out from Wayward Rogues Publishing. So, the reason I don't have a fan on as well is because I found that the slight breeze of the fan is making the camera get blurry. I don't even know if it's blurry right now. Gotta get a new camera eventually. So I told them we're not gonna have encounters. I didn't really know about haunts back then, but I want to try something freaky. So the players went to a place called Crater Yuletops. It was a Lovecraft. I described the place before the game started. It's a Lovecraftian town. It's a town underneath the ground. Imagine something Lovecraftian. That's basically the backstory, undiscovered backstory of the place. So as they were going in, I was doing the whole very descriptive thing. You know, the whole. For some reason, you notice the earth apparently tried to swallow this place, but it was so corrupted that it just couldn't handle it. That's how corrupted this place was, and that was what I tried to convey, because apparently there was a huge war that happened, and a lot of unnameable things happened during that war. And every time they opened the door, I would describe like a really effed up scene. I would tell them, you know, about there's a woman sobbing in front of you. You couldn't hear it. Maybe it was because the door was locked, but as soon as you opened the door, you saw the woman sobbing. And the way I would describe it was, I mean, and it's silly because I am using jump scares, but I'm not really scaring the players. So what I did was, one of the players said, I go towards her to try to comfort her. And I tell him, as you put your hands on her, she turns around. You look at her, she looks like a very young lady. You have no idea what happened to her, why she's there. Maybe she got lost. Suddenly, her face turns completely bleak. Her eyes are completely bloodshot. Her mouth is her jaw is dislocated, and she just screams at you and tries to grab you. And as soon as you close your eyes from the flinch, she's disappeared. And I did a couple of things like that a couple of times during that session. Cold water. The players did tell me that they actually enjoyed that. So, well, I think that jump scares don't work. I mean, they do work, but I think that jump scares are lame and stupid in video games and in movies. In tabletop role-playing games, if you can describe them properly, at least you're giving the player a mental image. I don't know if that's being hypocritical, but it's a completely different medium because you're using your imagination. You're not actually watching it. Because that takes me to another point. When it comes to horror, the players have as much of importance in it as the game masters do, because the game master can just describe so much, but it's up to the player to actually act scare in character. So maybe you have nerves of steel. Maybe you've seen every single jump scare movie that there is, and you have never been caught by surprise. People have tried to scare you time and time again, and you have never flinched once in your life. But it's also up to you to, you know, keep the spirit going, because if you have a game master busting his chops trying to scare players, but you have 4 players and 3 of them are genuinely unnerved, and you have one of them acting nonchalant, that's gonna really kill it for the other 3 players. I mean, that's not gonna necessarily kill it because everybody's different, but I'm banking on it will. I'm banking on it will kill it for the other players, because you're just completely shattering the mood. So keep the mood going. Maybe it's not as scary. Maybe the game master could be a little bit more descriptive, but you can go out of game later after the game is over to talk to them about it. It's like, hey, I know you're trying to be scary, but, you know, be a little bit more descriptive. When the spider was scuttling towards us, maybe you could have described it in a more nightmarish way. Maybe its legs, instead of going towards you like a regular spider, its legs were twisting and turning in place. And even though the legs were going in different ways, the thorax stayed still. You know, you can just make it flowery. Make it very, very flowery when you're describing monsters and situations and locations to the players. And players, try to live it. You know, like, try to live it up. Try to, you know what? Even though I'm not scared, I'm gonna act scared because, gosh darn it, the game master's actually trying. If he's actually trying, if he's saying, oh, something scary happens, like, stop being a game master for real. So, okay, I'm rambling a little bit too much. I wanted to go over a couple of points, and now I'm kicking myself in the butt for not actually writing them down. So yeah, it's very important to set the mood whenever you're talking about horror, because if there's no mood, there's not gonna be a horror. It's just not gonna happen, because even in movies, that's what gets you. Even movies that are actual horror movies, like not jump scare movies, like actual horror movies, they set the mood. For example, my favorite scary movie of all time, Pontypool. Now, barring the ending, which is extremely stupid and contrived, and I hate the ending of that movie. Spoilers beware. I'm not gonna spoil it that much, but let's see how I can word this. This mood is set really well. Yeah, so no spoilers. The mood is set really well because you just see the people in the place. and the play sets the mood because you don't see what's happening in the movie. They're stuck inside of a radio station. I mean, if you read the synopsis, that's gonna tell you that they're stuck inside of a radio station, and you hear what's going on in the outside world, but you don't actually see it. Now, spoilers until the end of the movie, and you discover something really stupid. But no spoilers now. But during the movie, it's just that mood of isolation and you not knowing what's happening, just hearing it. That is genuinely scary stuff. So the mood is very important. You can make anything be scary if you know how to describe it and if you set the proper mood. But again, it's for the game masters, you gotta set the mood. You gotta be very flowery with your words. You have to be very descriptive. For players, you gotta live it up, because if you don't live it up, man, I'm sorry, but you're probably gonna kill the mood for other players, and you're probably gonna get the game master a little bit annoyed towards you. Because imagine if you're the game master, you're busting your chops off trying to describe things very meticulously and really cool like, and suddenly there's this a-hole just cracking jokes and oh yeah, I saw this once in a scene of this movie over there, and you know, nobody likes that guy. Oh man. Alright, so I have a couple of quotes here. I did something different for this video, for this Geas quest. I actually went online and asked a couple of people of how do they run their own horror games. Now, sadly, it was, again, I asked this question like 30 minutes ago. Well, the video's been going on for over 13 minutes, but I asked this question like half an hour before I started recording the video, and I'm like, I should have asked this a couple of days before, but stroke of genius at the moment. I'm like, you know what? I want to get other game masters and other players' thoughts on this. So, from Roberto Micheri, who is a really cool game master that I talked about him some videos ago, and during the RPG a day thing, he does a lot of activities for little kids to teach them how to tabletop role play. So you know, he's indoctrinating them young. That's awesome. So he says, it's difficult to scare the players. I try to create an atmosphere that influences the player. Mood lighting, speaking in a whisper and then hitting the table. See, that's, again, atmosphere. He agrees there. Atmosphere is very important, and I like that thing about hitting the table. Usually I don't do it because when we're playing, usually my daughter is asleep and I don't want to startle her. Even though she's hard of hearing, but some days she hears better. Some days she acts like she hears everything clearly. So hitting on the table, at least I don't do it because she's asleep. When I'm playing somebody else's house, I'll gauge how their table is, and usually take off my rings because I don't want to scratch anybody's table. But I like that, again, you know, speaking in a whisper, and when they're enticed, you smack the table and they're freaking out. And moonlighting is interesting. Maybe you could do something that, you know, you put candles instead of the lights. Could be difficult. You use a lot of candles. I mean, a couple of people might not be able to read their character sheets well, but I would love to do that one day. Just get one of those light bulbs that you can dim the lights, not completely turn them up, but actually dim the lights. But I agree also with Micheri. Scaring players is difficult because you have to scare them with descriptions, and scaring them with descriptions is something that is very, very difficult to do, because you know, I can describe something scary, and since it's just a description and I'm not showing anything graphic to you, maybe it's not gonna trigger anything in your head. So you know, it goes from person to person. Maybe if you know that one of the players is an arachnophobe, you can be a total a-hole and describe a really monstrous spider. Maybe that will trigger something in them and they're actually gonna get scared. I mean, I don't know how much of a sleaze you're gonna be at that point, but it might work. Hit to the things that the players, if you know the players and if you have that kind of trust with them, hit them where it hurts, I would say. You know, maybe you know that one of them is scared of the dark. You can, you know, describe a very dark place you're walking and you feel that something caresses you in your neck and you're not sure what it was. Maybe they turn on a torch and you don't notice anything. Or maybe when they turn on the torch, there's something there standing, attacks them. the lights go away and then they can't see it anymore. Or after it attacked them, it just vanished. You know, little things like that, little hits like that can really go a long way. Now I have one here also from Njali. Njali has been featured before in Inside Dark Dungeons because he was the writer of Legendary Vigilantes. He's also the writer of Kineticus of Periphery. Still don't know if I'm saying that correctly. So I was able to contact him, and he said, I'm using that kind of filters into the villain thing I'm doing on that panel. More on that later. For a tabletop, setting up the mood is the most important thing. Mood is 100% what makes horror work. And doing whatever you can to set that mood is needed. Play by candlelight like you're in a movie's idea of how people play RPGs. That'll be interesting. like I mentioned the whole candle thing before, but actually like the idea of how people play RPGs. Get yourself some spooky music, and most of all, find out what scares you. Interesting. Fear ends up being universal more often than not. Clowns, spiders, loss, being alone, darkness, I would say at least, death. Colorful language is also very important here. And then he goes, he's watching Corpse Party now, and the vivid language has done a lot to give it a real fearful atmosphere. So there you go, vivid language. We have atmosphere again. So you know, we have a couple of people here. You know, you have me and Jolly and Roberto Micheli agreeing that the mood and the atmosphere is what makes horror. If you don't have that, you can't really have horror. He mentions here the whole, you know, setting spooky music. Maybe you can set some howling in the background. You can totally find that on YouTube. Just write howling winds, and you're probably gonna find that on YouTube. Heck, you know what? Let's go ahead and do that right now. Let's go to YouTube and let it load. All right, howling winds. Let's see what I find. Howling wind. There we go. It's actually on a list. I can't hear anything. Let's see if the... Oh, there you go. See, you can have howling winds. You can totally have howling winds there. So that's something really cool you can do. I'm gonna stop that now. I'm having way too much fun with that. So the mood is so important for you to use horror. Honestly, for anything, really. Even for comedy, setting the mood is very important. But I believe that in horror most of all, because think about horror movies. Shut off the volume. You know, mute it, and watch a movie that you're scared of completely mute. It's not gonna have the same impact because the music, the sounds are so integral to what horror is, and also the mood. Like maybe you're in an abandoned hospital, but instead of an abandoned hospital, make it a bustling mall. It's not gonna be the same. You know, maybe it could be scary for other reasons because maybe the killer clown is out on the open. So maybe that could be the scary thing. Alright, so before we get to the next quote, I want to mention that Ann Jolly will be doing a panel at AetherCon on November 12th about villains titled Villainy, The Art of Mustache Twisting. That will be November 12th at high noon Eastern Standard Time. Go to aether.com for more information. It's an online convention. It's gonna be really good. It starts from November 11th to November 13th, but Ann Jolly's gonna be during November 12th. Alright, so the next quote I have here is from Mario Agrait from Puerto Rico Role Players. He says, make them like an interesting NPC a lot and then kill them horribly. This can be very good because then you can have your players fall into a false sense of security and safety with a character. Maybe it's a character that has helped them out a lot. If you want to cement that the big bad is actually really big and bad and powerful, make them kill, but like not only just kill, stab, boom, you're dead, disintegrated. Like make them, you know, take out their guts and hang them with them. Make them do something that by raw, by the normal rules, you wouldn't be able to do anyways. But make them do that, because then the players are actually gonna be scared of this guy. Is that if this guy that we have known and is powerful, not as powerful as all of us combined, but pretty powerful nonetheless, because you don't never want to outshine the player characters anyways. But this guy just shrugged them off like that and killed him in such a fashion. What hope do we have? So that's really good advice there. Also, he has a funny one that says, get them negative levels during a fight. That will scare anyone. And if you have never been in a fight and you have gone negative levels, you don't know what fear is. Because in Pathfinder, negative levels suck, but they're not as bad as 3.5 negative levels, especially if you were a spellcaster, because you lose spell slots when you're a spellcaster and you get negative levels in 3.5. Now that was the stuff of nightmares, let me tell you, because suddenly you're not able to cast your most powerful spells, and you were fresh, and you were still fresh. And yeah, the whole I have a penalty equal to my negative levels on everything, and my health is going down and down and down and down. Yeah, so I think he is right. That would scare anybody. So the next quote we have is from Robert Gresham, the creator of Wayward Rogues Publishing. He mentions, I like to use foreshadowing in stories so it later has more impact to the players. I am a fan of rolling dice behind screen without telling the players why I rolled. That is a classic Game Master move. If you're a Game Master and you have never done that, you don't know how awesome it is for the players to be role-playing amongst themselves, and you're just like... And then take it a step further. Start writing things down. Now, Paladin, my friend from trying to stay on topic, he used to do something that was hilarious. We would roleplay. He would start rolling die. He would look at them, jot things down, and then, can you pass me your character sheet for a minute? And then hands it back to you, and then writes a little bit more. So maybe the Game Master is planning something, maybe he's just messing with your mind. See, you're getting inside the player's head, because it's not only about the character. You don't have to scare the character, you have to scare the player. If you're able to scare the player and unnerve them, I think you're going in the right way. But my favorite tactic, Robert Gresham continues, is to over-describe something in a room. Give mundane objects seeming importance. The knob to the door is made of tarnished brass. It's been rubbed smooth on one side. The keyhole is plugged up with something gray and hairy. If you describe that to the players, trust me, they're gonna spend the next 30 to 1 hour trying to decipher what the hell that was. Again, you're setting them up for a mood. So the whole time we've been on this video, we've been talking about moods and atmosphere. Mood and atmosphere is so important, and to be able to describe things in the best proper and in the best way possible is very important to do so. Alright, so now I actually have a special treat for you guys. I have actually a video from Aaron Hollingsworth. He actually sent me a video that was really cool from his behalf. Now, Aaron is known for Hybrid Classes Volume 2 Horror Heroes from Wayward Rogues Publishing, the Hybrid Class Luminary from Purple Duck Games, the Dimensionist from Wayward Rogues, the Arm Jack from Purple Duck, and of course, my favorite tabletop role-playing game book that he has co-written, The Guide to the Cult of Shub-Niggurath, and you guys know about it because you saw the Inside Dark Dungeons on it. And that book, the way that Aaron uses his words to describe the Cult of Shub-Niggurath is really great. So take a look at this.
When running a horror campaign, one thing that cannot be avoided is humor. Players will inevitably make jokes. There will always be somebody at the table that is going to want to break the tension. As the game master, I say let them. Stay cold and detached. Let your players get the jokes out of their system. Okay? The reason for this is, think of a horror movie. The teenagers, they're always joking around, having levity, enjoying life, laughing, carefree, and that's when you jump scare them. That is when you betray them. betray their trust. That's what horror is. Betray their sense of safety, because that's why they're making humor. Because, hey, there's a lot of absurdity going on. You're all pretending to be something you're not in a game world, a fantasy game world. So there's bound to be absurdity. The two sides of absurdity is humor and horror. You're reacting to something that doesn't fit within the realm of the normal or the real. So you witness something absurdly horrific, you get scared. Witness something absurdly funny, you laugh. So I would advise GMs to let your players be silly and let them get comfortable and let them set themselves up for your horrific traps. That's my advice, and I'm sticking to it.
And man, that is great advice. I never in my wildest dreams could have thought of that. Let the players have their fun. And that is, think about it, that is so maniacal, Aaron. That is so mean to think that way. Let them have their fun. Because, you know, they're setting themselves up, like Aaron says. They're setting themselves up. That is so awesome. Just let them have their fun. I'm describing things very horribly, and they're just making fun. And then when they least expected, boom! Somebody falls dead flat on the floor. There's 4 players, 1d4. Boom, you died. And they're like, what? You don't really kill them. You know, then you set up other scenarios. Maybe the 3 of them are in a dreamscape, or maybe it's like, boom, he died. And they're like, what? And then you said, but what you saw is the 3 of them died. You know, then you can have fun with it. If you want, you can do the whole thing that maybe they were drugged. And the 3 of them that saw their friend die, their friend comes back as a powerful zombie. And he sees his 3 friends come back as zombies. So then you can have the players fighting themselves. You can have something like that, and then you have the big bad, which maybe is not that much level because they're already gonna hurt themselves already. There are so many different things you can do in a scenario like that. So there you go, a free horror scenario for you. Describe things in a nightmarish way. Describe things that would not normally function the way they would. Maybe a sword, not a sword, maybe an axe with a wooden pole, that the pole is completely warped, even though that wood wouldn't warp that way. Maybe I don't know, a book that flips by itself. Maybe that when you flip through the book, it gives the distinct odor of blood, even though they roll their knowledge, it's not blood. So what the heck is it? So yeah, there's so many things you can do. Something I usually try to do when I'm running myself horror: discuss the players as much as you can. Just make them uncomfortable. That to me is horror. Just put people in a very, very uncomfortable situation, like I did in my last session of Iron Kingdoms. The whole the pimp had underage girls working for him. That is very unnerving. They die from overdosing on this red mist cocaine. That is very unnerving, and it pisses them off. Of course, I'm trying to send them and give them another thing, which I just want them to get pissed off at the 4 horsemen. That the name of the crime organization I have in that game. I want them to get pissed off at them, so I'm making them very uncomfortable and angry at them. So that's what I'm doing there. Other things is describing deaths horribly, you know, like a zombie ripping open somebody's chest cavity and eating their entrails in front of the players. They're completely ignoring the other characters and just ripping this person piece by piece. There's a monster actually in the Book of Vile Darkness. This is one of my favorite monsters of all time. What they do is they have a thing that they can burrow into your stomach and start eating you, and then they can send the sense of pleasure that they feel from eating entrails into other people's minds, and that would disturb anybody. Then you can take it a step further. not only do they feel the sense of pleasure from eating that, but you can also taste it in your mouth. And nobody wants to taste entrails. So, unless you're into that kind of stuff. But usually player characters are not into that kind of stuff. That's what I mean. So, you know, again, mood and atmosphere. Everybody here has agreed on the same. So before I actually finish this video, I want to give thanks to Roberto Micheri and Jolly. I already mentioned his AetherCon panel. Go check that out. Remember, November 12th. I want to give thanks to Mario Agrite. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, from Puerto Rico Role Players. Robert Gresham, I want to give thanks to him as well. Totally check out. Let's see, I have the page right here. I'm going to have a link in the description. And I have to get back again and back again. I did a lot of searches on RPG Now. Check out Wayward Rogues Publishing on RPG Now. They have the Whispers of the Dark Mother adventure path that it takes a lot of cues from the Guide to the Cult of Chub-Niggurath. It's out now. The first part, at least, is out now. I'm pretty sure a couple of the things I've written are gonna be in the next upcoming parts. Besides that, the player's guide for that adventure path is free, so you can totally go to Wayward Rogues on RPG Now or Drive to RPG and download that for free. And for Aaron, he tells me, just tell them to check out my 4 Winds, 1 Storm series and other fantasy books on AaronHollingworth.com. I'm gonna have a link on the description as well for AaronHollingworth.com. You can totally check out his books. This guy is really good at description. This guy is a really good writer, so check out his books. Check out Robert Gresham's books. And check out Jolly's panel on November 12th. And if you like this video, remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe to ARMR Studios for more videos like these. Next time, hopefully, I'm gonna have finished. Toss the truck at this hour. This damn book, because again, it's self-aware. Let me read. Let me read a bit of the beginning here. And let me explain why this book is self-aware. I'm gonna use this joke in the book, in the review, but take this as a little preview. Let's see, where is it? Where's the dice section? Am I missing that? Oh yeah, dice. Cars. No, that's not it. Oh man. Oh yeah. So yeah, anyways, those cubes are called 6-sided dice. We gaming pros refer to them as D6s. D6s are good, but useless for the BTVS RPG, Vampire the Vampire Slayer RPG. The real heavyweights of this game are the D10s, or 10-sided dice. And here's the kicker. They are way big with the angst-ridden vampire role-playing set. They're making it's a crappy game making fun of another crappy game, but that other crappy game has a huge following. It's making fun of Vampire the Masquerade and Vampire Requiem. I mean, I'm not a fan of those games, but how dare you? You're just the Buffy the Vampire Slayer role-playing game. F you. The thing is that this book is filled to the brim with jokes like that, and I don't like self-aware books of all things. So let's see, I announced everybody's things. I gave my thanks for the people that helped me out throughout this video. It was really cool. Hopefully for next time, I'm actually gonna make an announcement earlier so I can have the input of more people. I actually enjoy doing this, taking people's opinions on different topics and putting them into my video. Let's grow. Let's make ARMR Studios grow, and let's have more adventurers join us up here at ARMR Studios. Maybe we can do something awesome and you know, call ourselves I don't know, you guys are the adventurers, or mercenary company. Let's keep it at adventurers. Yeah, let's do that. But that's really cool. Up until next time we see each other in Geas Quest. Hopefully the Inside Dark Dungeons is gonna be done for next Monday. And I'll see you guys next time. Remember, rule number 1, always have fun.